right, hello everyone, my name is Dakoba and welcome back to Satisfactory. We are here in our Let's Play world and we have just gotten back from a long exploration trip down to the south. We went down along the coast there on the west and spent a great deal of time exploring the grassy plains as well as the crystal forest. We did get a little bit over by the blue crater, but I didn't want to go too far into that area, so I kind of skirted around the edge there and mostly just avoided it. Didn't really get much in there, but spent a lot of time in the grassy plains and near the crater lake, and then working our way back north through the center of the map. So we now have tons and tons of goodies that we got there. If we open up our inventory, you can see we have 51 Mercer spheres. We got 11 somersloops, as well as a ton of power slugs, 24 blue power slugs, 8 purple power slugs, and 3 yellow power slugs. So we can now take advantage of that in order to maximize our ticket count. Come in here. Tickets. I thought I had tickets. Oh, there's another Mercer sphere. We'd forgotten. I had some tickets. There's 9 tickets there. Let's pop down to the awesome sink and see where we're at. I may have spent all my tickets. Yeah, okay. So I'd spent all my tickets. So we need to produce some DNA, turn in some alien DNA to get another big chunk of tickets. And I think that should pretty well get us everything we want out of the awesome shop for now. And the rest is just going to be trickling in. So that's where we're going to start. However, to do this, we of course want to use our alien bit sorting system, but we want to make sure we're maximizing that. So we are going to be summer slooping all of these machines. Come up here. This one is handling our hog protein. We'll throw in a summer sloop there. This one is taking our hatcher protein. Throw in a summer sloop there. This one is taking our stinger remains and our spitter remains, and we got a ton of spitter remains, so that is going to be very valuable for us. And then this one, and then we will overclock this because otherwise things are going to back up like crazy. We can go ahead and just overclock all of these, actually, I think. Make sure that we're getting stuff moving nicely. Alright, with all of that done, we can pop down here to our storage container and drop in all of our remains. This may take a couple... Boop, 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 boop. And then I had dropped some more off over here because we were running out of inventory. Yeah, we have tons of stuff. Tons of stuff. Tons of stuff. So I was actually down there long enough that many of the monsters I was fighting had started to respawn. I took advantage of that because I find the spitters to be sort of the easiest things to kill. You know, a quick pop of the stun rebar and then 2 smacks with the Xenobasher, and they just drop. And they give 2 pieces of remains. So I like to hunt them best. They're my favorite. If we take a look, we are at 2 coupons with 15,000 points required, so we will come back to this in a little bit to see where we're at. However, while I was away, I was kind of hoping that our space elevator parts would finish. Let's go ahead and unload everything else. We don't really need any of this stuff right now. But what we do need is inventory space, because we are going to take 1,000. Let's see, that's 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1,000 smart plating. And then we will head on over here and get 1,000 versatile framework. And I think we should have our... Yep. We've got 100 automated wiring in our dimensional depot and 1,000 versatile framework. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So yeah, 2.5 rows. And boop, boop, and boop.
Welcome to the Project Assembly Pioneer Progress presentation. Congratulations, the Phase 2 project part shipment is now ready for delivery. On delivery, Phase 2 will be completed and the construction dock will be constructed. After completion of Phase 2, the technologies of Tiers 5 and 6 will become available in the hub. These might feel intimidating after your previous experience, but rest assured that you would not be here if you were entirely incompetent. Highlights are oil production, railway transportation, the jetpack, and many more. Completing Phase 3 of Project Assembly is your next main objective. Just remember to focus on producing and delivering the project parts, and Fixit's faith in you will be strengthened. Phase 2 of Project Assembly completed. You have been performing more adequately under pressure and are closer than ever to saving the day. Perhaps you were the right choice for the job. Time will tell. You will now enter Phase 3 of Project Assembly. Continue as you are, and there should be no issue. For humanity. For Fixit.
It's so cool. I love it. All right, let's go see what we can do now. All right, so our first task is going to be to take a look at the hub to see what new milestones are unlocked and what those will require in case we need to set up any more production lines before we can move on to the fun stuff. All right, so looking through these milestones, we're definitely going to be getting the jetpack fairly soon. But everything else, we can do oil processing, and everything else requires either plastic or rubber or both, so we'll have to set up a simple oil refinery for that. That might be our build for today. In Tier 6, things get a lot more interesting. We get the manufacturer, which also requires plastic, but opens up heavy modular frames and computers and lets us build a lot more interesting stuff. So that's very cool. We also get train technology, which we can actually unlock right now. And that is something I might want to play with. Can we build trains? This, okay. Okay, so... Okay, so we need computers for railway signaling. That's a mean joke. But we can get trains and start building train platforms immediately. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right, let's go ahead and load up and send off our first milestone in Tier 6 monorail trains.
Milestone reached. Trains are excellent for efficiently moving vast quantities of parts. Train logistics can be made more precise and complex with tools found in the railway signaling milestone. I listen to all my pioneers, often when they're not even aware of it. So due to popular demand, I have added a motivational message. Choo-choo mother...
All right, now what do trains require, and can we actually build them? Okay, no. So they require rubber to build. We cannot build trains. We can build freight cars. Train stations require plastic, as do the platforms. Okay, so we definitely need oil and plastic. All right, that's going to be a factory build for today. Okay, I think we can manage that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our oil processing milestone. We can't load it while the drop pod's away. That's okay. So we'll come back to that because we have other stuff we need to do. Let's go ahead. So one of the things we need to do is we got a bunch of Mercer spheres, which means we should be able to increase our dimensional depot stuff pretty significantly. I think we got 50 Mercer spheres, so we could use 40 of them here to get us up to a much higher upload speed and 4 stacks of items. How are we doing on tickets? Oh, 32. That's beautiful. So thank you to everybody who in the comments pointed out that using summer sloops to, or using, yeah, summer sloops to increase the yield from the alien protein. That was a choice tip. We'll go ahead and recycle those through, and they should be fine by the time they make it back through. We'll double check just in case they're not, but let's go ahead and get crafting on some of these fluctuators. So we're going to need a bunch. All right, so now here's another thing. We set down a constructor. We connect up power to this thing somehow. Now, if we do power shards and drop in our purple power slugs, what? 10 power shards per slug? This is crazy. We can overclock everything. Oh my goodness. It's not even fair. Oh my goodness, these summer sloops are so broken. Well, let's gather our millions of power shards and take a look at what we can do next. It does use 53 megawatts of power for a fully overclocked constructor, and that's probably more power than we can spare. But there's, like, I'm not really in a hurry. I could underclock that thing and it would offset the power consumption. So if we then set this to do the yellow power shards at 10% speed, we're still getting, it'll take 2 minutes. We're still getting 2 shards a minute. And it's using less than a megawatt of power. Like, oh my goodness. That's nuts. All right, let's go ahead and gather up the parts and send off the milestone for oil processing and see what that opens up for. Let's get this milestone sent away. And then we can take a look at our next construction project.
Milestone reached. Crude oil can now be extracted and refined to produce various industrially beneficial parts. The byproducts of these processes will require careful management, but a capable pioneer such as yourself surely understands that. To improve efficiency, pipelines can now be optimized with valves to limit and balance their throughput. These were initially left out because Fixit did not want to overwhelm pioneers with complex pipeline management, but they have since been re-added after my impassioned defense of your capabilities.
All right, let's take a look at the refinery. So we have everything we need to build one. Let's set one up here real quick. And so with this, we can do plastic out of crude, rubber out of crude. Those both produce heavy oil residue, which we would need to process. But then those can be turned with water into additional product through residual. No, those can be turned into petroleum coke. As an alternative, we can turn it into fuel, which produces polymer resin. Or we can turn the heavy oil residue into fuel, but we can't process the fuel right now. That doesn't help us. So I think the first refinery is going to be a standard one, producing plastic and rubber, and then turning the excess into petroleum coke, which we will burn in order to produce some extra power to support the plant. So our next step is to scan for crude oil. And I believe our crude is going to be over to the west. That's the nearest source, but up north, there's also quite a bit up here. Some there and some there. Maybe some over here. Okay, so it's only finding the stuff out west. That's fine. We can start there and then work our way as we get into more advanced builds into other parts of the map. All right, now the next thing I want to do before we head out and build that basic oil processing plant is to unlock the jetpack milestone. Let's go ahead and unload that. We're going to need 1,000 cabling and 1,000 iron plating. Let's we'll have to gather those by hand because we do not have those in our storage space. You can also see I've been doing a little bit of playing around with some of the decorations.
Milestone reached. Fix-It has granted you the power of flight, provided you have a jetpack and the appropriate fuels. The jetpack refuels automatically while you are standing on a surface, and different fuel types will affect the jetpack's functionality. With this increased versatility, you will no doubt achieve efficiency levels previously unheard of.
All right, let's go ahead and equip this. Unfortunately, that takes up my spot. And for fuel, solid biofuel right now. That's probably the only fuel I've got, right? It's 29 there. Thought I had a bunch more somewhere. 180 plus. Okay. That burns quickly. But we have a jetpack. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. You don't realize how much you miss some of these things until you get them back. And I'm not sure overall if it's the right move compared to a parachute, because parachutes have a certain amount of utility and functionality, but we'll keep our backup parachute in our inventory. And I believe what that means we can do that thing. And then okay, so it does track fuel usage. All right, let's head on down to our oil nodes and see what we can come up with in terms of a basic oil refinery. All right, and that is a basic oil refinery all squared away. Let's go through it a little bit. We are maxing out one of our normal crude oil veins. So in this area, we have 2 normal and 2 pure crude veins. I went ahead and placed down the oil extractors on all 4 of them in order to reduce the number of enemy spawns that were popping up in the area. But this refinery is being fed by this one, and we are maxing this one out completely. We've overclocked it fully, and we are taking advantage of all 300 crude oil per minute that we get. Now we do have this pipe structure here. This is a flow limiter. The idea here is that this is going to keep the 300 units of oil a minute flowing smoothly. We elevate the oil and then drop it back down. This makes sure that there's no sort of gravity assisted backflow. If for whatever reason this backs up, it's going to prioritize drawing fluid out of the feeder pipe before it becomes an issue, and it then runs on down the line to feed into all of the refineries. Now we have 10 refineries here with 300 crude. We can have 5 dedicated to making plastic and 5 dedicated to making rubber, and that produces 100 units of each per minute, as well as 150 units of heavy oil residue. Now 150 units of heavy oil residue can be turned into petroleum coke in 4 more refineries. By default, this uses 40 a minute, so in order to use 150, we needed to overclock the machines, but since this is feeding into 2 banks of power plants, I split that, so we're doing 105 and then 120, and then 105 there, yeah, and then 120. So there's 225 units of petroleum coke being produced by each side of these. Now, by default, a coal-powered generator will use 25 petroleum coke a minute. Since we're producing 225 and that's going into 6 generators, that would be 150. So we have 3 of these overclocked to use 50. So that's 50, 150, 50, 100, 150, 175, 200, 225. And then our water extractors are also tuned to provide precisely the correct amount of power. Now, I do use a manifold system for feeding the generators, so that's still backfilling. So we have one of our generators over on the other side that is not fully sort of caught up there. So we see a little bit of flickering that should go away just as soon as all of the previous generators in the line backfill. So we are ending up with 100 units of plastic a minute, 100 units of rubber a minute, and some extra power to boot. Now, any excess that doesn't fit into our dimensional depots does end up in our awesome sink right now. This will eventually be replaced with either a truck or train station. I was thinking a truck station, but I'd love to get some train lines through here and being sent back over, where it'll be sent back over to our base to be used in some additional factories. For now, though, we're just sinking it because I don't want to run that logistics line just yet. Instead, I'm going to take the plastic and rubber that we've already produced and head back and see what research we can unlock. Alright, on the way back, I found a few more Mercer spheres. And it turns out there's a bug in the most recent patch that has caused all of the Mercer spheres and somersloops that we've already gathered to respawn in the world. Now, this is something I'm still debating on how I want to work with. And I'm wondering if the reason some of my exploration was so fruitful was because that was actually done over several days and the patch hit in the middle of that. So I wonder if there were several Mercer spheres that I was able to pick up multiple times as a result of that. Now, we've already spent the vast bulk of those Mercer spheres on research. So I think we're just going to roll with that for now. I think where this would be a bigger issue is if we had set up radio towers and we're trying to do a sort of a completionist collection of all the rare items in the world, which is something I do want to do in this world at some point, but we're not there yet. But that's a bit of a bummer that happened. It also caused all of the enemies to respawn. So this hatcher, for example, which is too near to our structures in order to naturally respawn, is back, and that's a bit of a pain, but we can take care of that quickly and easily. But anyways, I think we should take a look at our hub and see if there's anything else we can unlock. Now, we have oil processing, we have basic rubber and plastic set up. We don't have circuit boards yet, so that's something else we can build soon. But with rubber, we can now get Logistics Mark IV. That'll give us the Mark IV conveyor belts, as well as the truck. And then the other thing I want to look at, there are many things I want to look at and play around with, but the other thing I want to look at right now is railway signaling. Now that requires computers, and we don't have enough. Okay, so we'll have to come back to that. Same with the Blueprint Designer Mark II, we'll need computers for. So I think right now what we're going to do is go ahead and take a look at Logistics Mark IV and see what we can do in order to increase the number of conveyor belt Mark IV materials we're producing. So I think we're getting 5 a minute, and that's not very many for this stage of the game.
Milestone reached. The transportation of resources can reach new heights of efficiency. With the Mark IV belts and lifts, the truck, but even more importantly, your effort. Handling a large and complicated vehicle like the truck should come easy to a well-trained pioneer such as you. They are an obvious improvement over tractors concerning industrial purposes. Improvements for personal use were not measured.
All right, and I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. My next step is going to be to come up with a blueprint for an encased industrial beam factory, which will allow us to make the Mark IV belt materials much more quickly, much more rapidly. And unfortunately, I don't have all the recipes I want for that. So what I'm going to do is set about researching some hard drives, and probably while I'm doing that, go explore the Dune Desert in order to gather up more hard drives, as well as pick up some more of the other rare materials that are over there. Once we have that set up, we'll be able to set up some outpost factories to make sure that we have plenty of conveyor belts to make use of the Mark IV belts, because those will last us throughout the rest of this phase and well into the next one. So that's something we're going to be using a fair bit of. Now, I'd like to thank you guys for taking a few minutes out of your day to spend with me here in the world of Satisfactory. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Leave a like if you have, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. My name is Dakoba, and I hope you have an efficient day. I'll see you soon.